relate to everybody back home, white, black, Hispanic, Asian. Like everybody just was on one page, I feel like. Because it's like we just came from different backgrounds, we understood that. And here it's just like two different backgrounds, two just different backgrounds. It's like divided, like it's passively divided too. And like you don't notice that until like your second semester freshman year, first semester sophomore year. You don't understand because you're just getting adjusted to college life. But yeah, it's like you don't know when to say hi to somebody or like if the relationship is authentic and stuff like that. So we're basically all athletes here. Like, how is the athletic life on campus, and like how does it like help you move around campus and stuff like that?
I think initially it helps a lot, like adjusting freshman year, because like it gives you that core friend group. Like I didn't have a roommate coming in actually for like the first month, and like I depended on my teammates like right away, and it just helps you feel more at home.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the same with you guys. At least for me, in terms of being an athlete, it helped with the time management, just because our schedules are so like regimented and they're the same every day, or pretty much the same. You know what you have to do, like waking up in the morning. You don't have a lot of free time, so like some of my friends who are non-athletes, they go to class for like probably 2 hours a day, and then they have the rest of the day to do whatever they want. And if they have 3 to 4 hours of homework, they can either get it done immediately or they can procrastinate, and like it takes them all day. But for us, it's something where like you get out of practice late at night and you know that you have like a set amount of time to eat and do your homework, because if you don't, like you'll be up all night.
Yeah, that's the same thing for basketball. Like we're here, and I know Jahiva too, and Jacob and Caleb over there. We're here the first day of school, and then we're also here all of winter break. So like we have practice every single day. We have games. So we're also here, like going back to your point, we're here when there is nobody else here. Like we're here with us, the men's team, and then hockey. Yeah, they come back. They have a little bit longer break than we do, but they come back. So you really get to know each other really well. But being an athlete, I feel like a lot of people know you. I don't know if that's like for everybody. For me, like I'm probably the tallest female on campus, so everybody knows me. So I can't walk around campus and look mean or have like a frown on my face or something. Yeah, that everybody expects you to be like, hey, what's up, how are you? If they say hi to you and you don't say hi back, like you're gonna hear back that someone's like, oh my gosh, Miranda looks so mean when she walks around campus. She doesn't say hi to me, that's so rude. So like, yeah, being an athlete, I think you are like expected to always be either happy or always have a good day or always be smiling, because no matter who you see professors, you see other students, you see other teammates, like they all expect you to be on top of your game all the time. So
yeah, to go off that, the expectation part is like crazy. Like if you just can't have a bad day, and like even when, because you're human too, even as an athlete, you're human too, and like you have a bad day, especially me being big, black, and tall. Like if I'm like just not smiling and I'm just, they can be like, that can put fear in somebody, and like I have to think about that all the time. Like every time I walk around this campus, like the campus is very small. Like people don't understand it. They just think, oh, you get gear, you get everything. Why? Like, are you mad? I'm like, because it's kind of hard. It's really hard. Like people don't understand the everyday grind and struggle of like having to like go to class, miss class, catch up on your work, catch up on tests and stuff like that. And like, that's something we go through. Obviously, like we're not complaining about it because this is what we signed up for. But it's like people have that expectation like, oh, you should be good because you get this and get that. I'm like, yeah, we're human too. Like, we go through the same thing you go through, but probably more.
And I feel like being a student athlete teaches you the importance of sacrifice, both mentally and physically. I know we're giving our all for our specific sport, but in one respect, physically, we're grinding every day, doing what we need to do to get better, but mentally, you got to take into account the fact that you're away from home. Me personally, I'm from South Florida, 1,000 miles away from my family, and I've never really experienced long stretches of time without them before. So coming in as a freshman and just being able to be surrounded by a large group of people who are there for me and I know have my back in every aspect of life is really special. And I'm very fortunate to be in that situation. And I feel like being an athlete in the long run helps each and every one of us.
Yeah, and just like saying, like, there's very few females of color, like, athletes. Like, I could probably count how many of us are on my hand. Like, probably five. There's five. Yeah, and yeah, so, and three of them are on my team. So it's me and a freshman and a sophomore. So, like, I don't know, it's hard for me personally because, I mean, being mixed, like, I look white to a lot of people, but I don't identify as that. So, like, I don't know, it's hard navigating through Holy Cross and seeing other people and they're trying to put you in this box and trying to say, oh, well, are you white or are you black? Like, you got to pick one. But a lot of times here, it's like, I am black just because I'm half black. Like, I am black. I've had teammates say to me, oh, I forget that you're white. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm as much white as I am black. Like, I don't know what to tell you. But it's crazy because I know, like, Mocha is such a great group and everything, but it's hard for females because we're expected to just, like, go through it, and we don't really have an outlet to talk about it or experience a lot of, I know we don't experience a lot of things that men do on campus, but, like, we still have our own struggles and things, so I think that's a big thing, yeah.
I see that, too, even when I'm, like, I mean, I'm a little bit darker than you or whatever, but at the same time, like, people be like, oh, you talk really nicely and all that stuff, you act white or, like, things along that, like, line of thinking. And I'll be like, I still care about, like, black issues just because maybe my interests might not be stereotypically black does not mean that I'm any less black to begin with and don't care about, you know, my people. And on top of that, just, like, people put me in a box, I feel like, so many times just after I open my mouth and after they get to know me and they think that they can just, they already know who I am, that I'm, like, some Uncle Tom type of guy that, like, can just be ran over and agrees with everything that white people have to say. And that's just not me. And I wish that people would kind of take the time to get to know me a little bit more before, you know, just assuming those things. So
do we think that it's every black man or woman's responsibility to kind of to do that, to not hide from their blackness, or is it okay if they just want to get through Holy Cross and not really not identify, but, like, not really accept it the way that other people would? You think that's, like, something that we should all do, or is that something that it depends?
Personally, I think it's something we all do because, like, you're gonna get, like, the more you hide from it, you're gonna get to a point where it's gonna be forced to come out. Like, for me, like, I don't want to be no other race. Like, I want to be black. Like, I'm proud to be black, and I have a problem with code switching. I can't do that. This is me, like, either way. But I get that, like, I'm entertainment, or, like, oh, like, you're like this, and I have an intellectual conversation with them, like, well, I didn't know. They pull back, I'm like, whoa, I didn't know you can, like, talk like that or something like that. I think it's my responsibility to let them know, like, yes, even though I can have fun, I can still, like, have an intellectual conversation with you about matters in society and stuff like that. So I do personally think it's our responsibility to let people know and don't hide from it and, like, be proudful about it, like, who you are.
I think it's important that everybody just embrace who they are. Don't try to act a certain way. If you have a high vocabulary or you like to use certain words, use those words. Embrace who you are.
Yeah, just going on that, I think there's a diversity in blackness and a diversity in all, you know, different races and ethnicity that doesn't get recognized enough. You know what I mean? And I think it'd be beautiful if we could start to see people, regardless of like socioeconomic backgrounds or differences that they may see, especially amongst the black community, because I think there's a little bit of a divide there at times, be able to come together and say, yeah, I may disagree with you on certain things, but we still go through the same struggle in a lot of ways, and see those similarities opposed to just saying, oh, here's a wall that separates us. And that's really it. I feel like a lot of times we just kind of settle after we have one thing that we disagree on, but we kind of fail to see the rest of the landscape that we actually all deal with, you know, daily. So,
a different perspective as an Asian dude. I'm kind of like in the middle. Like most of the race relations in America are either black or white. So either like I'm on kind of one side or the other. Oh, because I've been going to probably more white schools and like kind of like a richer socioeconomic. Like I live in kind of a richer area. People just think like, oh yeah, you act white and this and that, and sometimes I'm just like, oh, I can't really embrace like my own culture and like see how like I'm proud to be a Japanese American, you know. And most of the time it's like, yeah, like you're either minority or not, and people always assume like just like because I'm not African American or black, it's just like no, you're pretty much just white because like you're not, your skin color is not dark.
Like, where do we see these disparities in the culture and stuff like that? Like we know, like the on and off campus parties, classroom. Like, where do you guys? Have you guys had any experiences where you just blatantly saw the disparity in cultures on this campus, lacrosse?
You can see it in the social life every day. Like you see it in walking in Kimball. You see like just a table, like tables of white people all sitting together, and then all the black people sitting together. Like there's no like intermingling. Like no one kind of goes out of their way, and I think that's something that that we need to probably help address in the school, because like. No one goes out of their way to try and meet other people. They want to do what's comfortable because everyone's in college now. They're away from home. They want to do what's the most comfortable thing for them at the moment. And the thing that's not the most comfortable may be the thing that's going to help you grow the most.
Freshman, sophomore, and junior, like there was no minorities on campus where we can go and have fun at their houses, and we would always have to be in like a room on campus. Sweaty, like you know the whole like every Saturday, Friday, like the whole thing. But we had no space, so last year we tried to make it like we have events to create that space in like the Field House and Hogan Ballroom, and we were like they gave us problems about it. How many security guards they wanted? 40 security for one event that Mocha like wanted to sponsor just to give people, minorities or everybody a space to have fun, and we ran into problems with that.
Yeah, then when we asked for like what was the reason for all this, they said
the nature of the event.
And we're like
that killed. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? Because
it's crazy.
That was crazy, and that's when when I realized I was like, they're really not. They don't get it. They don't understand that we're going through this every day, that we don't feel comfortable at off-campus parties. Like our cultures is different, and we're gonna always embrace our culture. And if we can't embrace our cultures in spaces on campus, like where do you want us to go? And we're supposed to be men and women for others, and we're others, and we don't feel comfortable. So.
No, but I see what you're talking about in sports teams all the time. Like, I know for basketball and like men's, women's teams and football, I feel like we all really hang out a lot. Like we really know each other because we're the teams that have the minority people on our team. So like, really, you don't. I guess I see it when either I go off campus or something. Like you see like the lacrosse teams or like I don't know, field hockey or some soccer or something, and it's just like crazy because it's such a big separation.
Do you think they know this is a separation? Do they like see it? I've had conversations with a couple of them, especially from my panel last year. Some people like their eyes are open to like, wow, I didn't know you go through that, because they just like you just see us having fun, so they don't really like think of it like that. But you think like do they see like, oh, there's a disparity here, like as much as we do, because we're all in social classes, we all take social classes, so we understand there's injustices here.
I mean, speaking from like, I don't know, I have like both sides really, like literally, but I feel like a lot of times people don't understand and they feel like minorities choose to be together, like they choose to be separate from everybody else because that's what they're comfortable with. I feel like a lot of times, so like, let's for example Williams parties, like everybody in the room knows what that is. So like, I feel like a lot of times off campus, like when we had the conversation, like people choose because we hate their music or like don't want to be in those sweaty hot basements, but like I think it's also they don't understand the flip side is where a lot of times we don't feel welcome in those environments because of it's one specific type of person all through the whole entire room.
Yeah,
so
like
I feel
stereotypes.
so I feel like a lot of times it's like they don't understand and they think that people just choose to be separate from everybody else, where because they've never experienced, like they've never been discriminated against, like they've never been put in this sort of box like I talked about where they felt uncomfortable for expressing their identity or like being a minority in any situation because they've never had it. So I think that's the big thing, is like they don't understand it because they've never been in our shoes.
I remember like after going to your Mocha talk last year, like so many people after that, even just on our team, were like, and they like people on our team know you really well, and they were like, oh my God, like I've never known that about Jahiva, like I didn't know he's going through that. And so I think it definitely like does raise an awareness, like white people, like we don't have, like we don't go through that every day, so we don't know those stories unless we're like open to listening.
And I think that's a good point you just brought up. Like people who are open to listening, like it's not everybody. It's like another question is like how do we make that number bigger? You know what I'm saying? So that people are opening to listening, because once they'll listen, then they'll hear our side, and I mean then they can decide for themselves if they wanna help her.
I think it's like education, like for like, I know Maggie, she's been in like 7 of my social classes, so she like knows about these topics, and people who's math majors and econ majors who are like white, like they don't hear about this like 24/7, like they don't learn about it, so how can they like understand it, I guess. So I understand that.
And those social classes are like making like some of like the extracurricular stuff is making them go to talks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And math majors and the accounting majors are never gonna do nothing like that. They're just gonna be in the books and the calculators.
Shoot, they should make a social class like a requirement.
Yeah, for real, they should.
Because people try to avoid it. Like I know people try to avoid taking social. People try to avoid like that.
Multicultural stuff.
What are we required to take? Social science. People are like, oh, I'm definitely taking psych. Like I'm not gonna take social.
You can take econ.
Yeah.
Technically, I think it's a social science, in which I mean it probably has maybe a little bit more overlap than I realized, but like for the most part, you can completely avoid like learning about social justice issues that like affect so many of us on campus, and like just kind of get away with it for 4 years. And after college, like good luck like learning about this kind of stuff. So
man, I see it in the classroom. The teachers be mean, like like they really be mean. Like I probably from my freshman year to now, I probably got like comments on my papers like even though I did the work, it was like, maybe if you put as much work as you put on the court in this paper, you got a better grade. I'm like, that's blatantly like isolating me as an athlete. You're not gonna say it to a common student who's not an athlete, like, or like when I go to, like I'm just going to class in my regular like athletic gear, they just know I'm an athlete. I can't escape that. I'm 6'8", 240, black. Like I just can't escape that. So I'm like doing whatever. I go to the teacher for help. And I'm like, oh, how you doing? She's like, better than you, because I wasn't doing well in the class, but I'm going for help. And just that comment is just like, you see that like that shift. And there's some teachers who don't like athletes because they think we're just here to be athletes, and they don't understand that we actually like got into the school. But you see like the things here and there where the disparity lays. Is like, I get it, I'm black and like I play basketball, but that doesn't mean like I'm not trying as hard as the next student.
do professors give y'all, like, especially basketball, a hard time because y'all have to miss class like every other day? It seems like practically half.
Yeah, I know my freshman year we missed like 3 weeks of class because of the tournament. So we missed. I think that was the roughest semester of my like career.
They didn't give y'all any like break, like
they did, but they weren't as like helpful about it. They were just like, you gotta get this done, like you missed this. It wasn't like, oh, like we're gonna like walk you through it, or like we understand. It was like, you have to do it or you're not gonna pass the course. So we had to do whatever we could to get it done, but it's pretty hard. We do miss a lot of class for basketball, so Y'all miss class too, so.
On the road all the time. Like, we'll have professors, Megan and Jive, I had a professor. Oh, and you were in that class?
Oh, yeah.
We would have to turn in stuff at 8 a.m. in the morning for class. And we'd be up trying to get connected to the Wi-Fi.
I got minus like 0.5.
Yeah.
I said I have to be, like, I have to go to the game. He's like, I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I gotta give you half credit. I'm like, but I can't do nothing about it. Like, I have to go to my game. Like, this
like doing work on the bus is
That
like
is
almost impossible.
Like they don't understand that we're under contract.
Yeah.
We signed an NLI, like we have to do these things. Like it's not like a choice, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And they always say academics come first and whatever, but it's really hard. Like, it is really hard to do work on that bus ride to Bucknell and you're trying to do work.
Do that whole paper.
Oh.
Laptop bumping, like
yeah.
I'm like,
car sick from reading your laptop.
I'm typing. I'm like, can I get an extension? She's gonna be right back. Nope. I'm like, I gotta do this paper.
And then you can't perform because then you're up until 2 a.m. in the hotel, and then the next day you're like, I'm so tired trying to get all my work done and everything. Like,
all right, let's talk more about like being more than an athlete. Like it's like the stereotypes. Like the stereotype of being the athlete. What are some stereotypes y'all face of being the athlete? Y'all want to break that stereotype? I know for me, like I talk to everybody, like black, white, I don't care. Like if I like you, I'll talk to you, and like I try to break that stereotype. People are like, oh, like why are you hanging out with me? Basketball players don't hang out like with people like. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like I'm a regular person, you're a regular person. Why can't I hang out with you? And they just have this stereotype, especially at this school, and people like even freshmen are like, older classmen are telling freshmen like, yeah, the basketball team they don't talk to people. Just make sure they don't. So they're surprised when I'm like, oh hey, how you doing? Like they're like, oh my God, you're talking to me? I'm like, yeah. So I'm trying to break this stereotype. I just want to break that stereotype where athletes are just athletes. I'm like more than an athlete. I do other stuff. I work on campus. Like I do Odyssey. I work in the equipment room. I do laundry. Like people don't know these things because they just see me on a poster or like they just see me on the court. Like they don't see what I do behind the scenes. Like I live in the real world too. Like I'm grinding just like you're grinding.
Nah, man. Like I could say that I had about 4 people. Like how you say they don't talk. Like I don't know. I felt about 4 girls to be like, man, you just like I thought you were like a jerk or like I don't want to say it, but like use some other words. And I'm just like nah, like I was just being to myself. Like I don't want to always like hang out with y'all. Like sometimes I like chilling or like I don't need to be this bubbly person 24/7. And like I do have bad days. So like when they be like, oh you should be like super grateful that you hear you're like for free. Like you're not you living. But this is like football like a job almost to me. Yeah. It seemed like so like that just like though it's easy for me. Like I don't like that when they tell me like they try to take the credit that I like they take the credit away like I didn't work for it, and that's irritating.
Yeah, I think a lot of people label athletes as kind of being one-dimensional. So for most of the non-athletes, non-athletes, they look at themselves and they're like, all right, we're the students and the athletes are the athletes, and there's no crossover. So they look at us and it's kind of just assuming that we care more about the sport than we care about our schoolwork, or therefore like our GPAs don't have to be as high as their GPAs because like we have this added like sport, and therefore like we kind of just have it a lot easier than they do academically. And they're really just missing out on the fact that, especially at a school like Holy Cross where academics are taken so seriously, whether you're an athlete or non-athlete, like there are so many added challenges that come along with it. Yes, we are grateful to have this like kind of opportunity to continue with our sport throughout college, compete at a high level, but that comes with a lot of like sacrifices, as you mentioned before, whether it is like the extra time and effort that we have to put into academics because we have a lot of hours taken away from us for the sport, or just little things like the traveling and the extra little headaches that is caused by like being an athlete that a lot of people don't recognize.
Yeah, like going off of like what y'all said, like I feel like the regular student sometimes thinks we're like spoiled or like entitled, like we got in here just for like sports and that's it. But like they don't really realize that we have the same amount of work to do, like same amount of schoolwork. like most days, like we'll have a lift at like 7:45 in the morning. I'll have a class at like 10, and then I'll have another one at like 12, and then like I'll be out of class at like 1:50. Have to be up there at Hart at 2:05. So I have to like come here to pingo I have to like go to the bathroom in the middle of class to pingo the thing. Come here, grab it. If it's not ready, like I guess I'm not eating for practice. Yeah, and then I have to grab it, go up there, and I'm there until like 7. Then I have study hall. So I can't sleep. Like, so I really have no time to do anything.
Like coming in as freshmen, other people who don't play sports, so like they think that athletes think that like we're better than everybody else. I've experienced that like there's just like a certain hostility that you feel from people when you're just walking down the hallway, and they realize that you're an athlete, and they just like give you a look, or just like even like make a comment and stuff like that. Like they just that stereotype was something that was very interesting to me, because I'd never experienced that like in my old school. Like everything was just straight, but then here it's like thinking like there's really hostility here for no reason.
Did y'all feel that get like a lot worse with the Lutz athletic complex? Like I felt a lot of heat, even like during my freshman year. Like once like they made the announcement or whatever that they were gonna build it, or it might have been sophomore year. I'm kind of forgetting, but sophomore year that they made the announcement that they was gonna like definitely make it. I felt like all this hostility towards like, oh, athletes get preferential treatment. Oh, well, look at our dorms. Like we need like air conditioning, which I agree. We need like little things like that could make like the general student population great here too. But we as athletes, I think deserve what we got in a lot of ways. But at the same time, I don't think a lot of people realize that like whoever donated that money like specifically decided that they wanted to donate it to athletics, so they have every right to do with that money what they want. And that over time, even though it might not be, unfortunately, while some of the students are here, they will get like a new recreational center and a new arts center that'll be like incredible for them and for us to use at certain points as well. So I just felt like that hostility got like, I didn't really realize it maybe quite as much at first, but I felt like a lot of heat was coming towards like us getting this facility, while they felt like a lot of different things on campus could or should have been improved as well that would have helped like the entire student population, when it wasn't like our fault whatsoever where that money went.
Yeah, I heard that it was like they was like, y'all win games, why y'all deserve that, like blah blah blah. I'm like, come on man, y'all have to come from we already trying to be great, like come on man, we're trying to be great. Then the only thing we can do is try to build community, and it takes, since they put us on the pedestal, we gotta take that initiative to just like build community and reach out and like let people know like we just like y'all, we trying to be great, just like y'all, trying to get through this school, just like y'all. It's hard, just for y'all, like just like they don't just like, we just need to build community and know that we can relate in some type of way, that we can always relate in some type of way, and we're gonna find a common ground to like build towards something. Yeah.
There's too many, like we all go through the same things every day, like lift, workout, practice, class. Early morning stuff.
I like how you said that last.
It usually do be last. We got it in the morning, so it's just crazy. You can't find the common ground. It's wild. Oh, and then going back to your point, Martin. My teacher threw shade just last week. She was like, the projector wasn't working or something like that, and then she pointed at the football player. She was like, yeah, maybe if we didn't put all that money in the Lutz Athletic Complex Center, we'd have enough money for a good projector, for good equipment. I was like, all right, like, that was cool. Like,
I heard about like similar stuff going on. Like after we started the season, like 0-2 on the football team, and people was complaining. I mean, we lost our second game to like the number 20. BC is the number 22 team in the nation right now. But that's beside the point. But like we lost that game, and they was complaining like we should be like the number 1 team in the country after having an indoor facility for a year. Not even at that point. We got it, like, we started using it around this time, like last year. Which I just don't think people like understand that gap sometimes, that like, yes, first of all, it's not our fault that we have these facilities now. We just got them, and there are also things on the way that are coming for the student body. So it's frustrating. But
obviously, being the minority is not only in the student body, but it's also like in the administration level of it as well. So have you all been able to like find connections to help you throughout your time at Holy Cross?
It definitely. I needed it too. I know Michelle Rosa Martin, she helped me out a lot. Melissa Alves, Armani was like my right hand, not my right hand, but like I went to her whenever I needed something. Now I can go to you. She's always trying to make me be great. I think like that guidance helped me get through all of these things we go through as athletes or as being black. Having someone motivate you to go out your comfort zone and trying to build community. Like as a freshman, I just wanted to come here and play basketball. Michelle was like, no, you can be something more than that. And I didn't know until she told me, and I didn't see it until she like related, like you can do something more than that. And I thank all of them for that. And I wouldn't be like who I am today without them.
And yeah, all those people Jahiva just named and Rob Jones too, they all helped me get out of my comfort zone sophomore year actually. Freshman year I was just going through the regimen of just doing my football stuff, going back to the room, getting my homework done, and doing the same thing every day. But sophomore year they really told me like to really get involved with the community at the school and to really like start putting myself out there and doing different things. And I think that actually like changed my life because it helped me get out of my comfort zone, know what it's like to be comfortable and then get comfortable in that situation. So that was something that was really cool that taught me and helped me grow as a man.
You know, thinking about how you were as a first-year student, how you were as a sophomore student, getting out of your comfort zone, how do you go about impressing that on to those that are younger than you? Do you kind of look at somebody and go, you know, that person, I was that person? How do you go about putting that impression on them and trying to bring them up?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the football team has the most amount of minority guys every year. So every time a new class comes in below me, I literally think like, yo, I was in their shoes. I know what they're going through exactly every day. Especially like the men of color athletes. I've kind of put on myself to make sure that I'm bringing them along with me, trying to take them under my wing as much as I can. Especially like letting them know, the younger people, letting them know that things like this is something that we have to keep going on at places like Holy Cross. We need to make sure Mocha lives on far after me, Jahiva, and Marcellus are gone, and all these seniors that are about to graduate. Just letting them know that, and like letting them just come hang out with us whenever they can. If they ever need some, always being there for them and stuff like that.
I know the freshman on my team really struggles with it's not that they are kind of blind to it, but it is sort of like they don't see these race relations happening. You don't see, we've had some incidents already where that race has had to be addressed on our team. So like, I don't know, for me being a senior and a captain, like I put it on myself to educate, especially not just the two other minority females on the team, but everybody to understand that like we do go through these situations where it's not cool to talk about race like you've been in our shoes or like say things that you wouldn't say around anybody else, but just because we're your teammates you think it's okay. Yeah. So I think like a huge part is education, like going outside of your comfort zone and talking to all your other teammates or everybody else that doesn't identify as a minority, but telling them like what's cool and what's not cool. Just because you think we're friends like doesn't mean that doesn't like hurt me or hurt like our progression. So
exactly. And if they really considered them as like one of your friends, they wouldn't be hurt by you checking them or addressing them. They'd be like, oh, I didn't know, I understand, and you keep it pushing. That's who your real friends are.
Yeah, definitely, because like even with the Donald Trump thing, like it was Donald Trump supporters on our team, is like, do we not talk to them? Like you just can't, you're in a situation where you can't bring that perspective like and ruin that relationship because that's your teammate. But they have to understand that they have to respect my opinion just to have to respect theirs.
Yeah. That was one of probably the weirdest times on this campus. Especially like on my team, like it was weird because like I remember walking into Kimball the day after, and like all the guys on my team, all the guys who like didn't vote for Trump, basically all the minority kids, we all sat together and we were just all just like quiet, like just. But then everybody else came in and they were like cheering and hollering and stuff like that.
It was a sad
like
day.
yeah, it was crazy. So just experiencing something like that, without having any of them like realize why we were so down about it. Like they didn't care to see, or they didn't want to see how that affected people who they call their brothers on their team. You know what I'm saying?
I know at least on my team, the track team here, it's not the most diverse team. We have very few people who would like identify as a minority, and kind of just seeing those different political views as kind of the election season kind of progressed. I found out that there were a lot of people who, basically, a lot of white track athletes, at least on my team, who went their entire lives without ever really being friends with a black person, just because they went through like their private Catholic schools from preschool or kindergarten, and really they were never educated about like what was actually going on in the world. They just lived in their small bubble. Yeah. So really they saw no problem with how they believed, because it was how they were brought up, and just being a resource to them, because they knew how I felt, because I like to, let my opinions be heard, especially in a group where my opinions aren't the same as most other people's. So I definitely don't want to be like muted at all. So they knew that they could come to me and kind of have like a educational but a little heated like debate about the topics, like basically learn where I was coming from, learn about my personal experiences, learn about how what they might have assumed about me wasn't true, and for me the same for them. Originally I was always like, oh well, Trump supporters are all like racist, or they like hate minorities, and that sort of like mindset. But the more I talked to them, like it was more just a lack of education or a lack of exposure to other types of people that I found was the common denominator. So just having those conversations, meeting as many people as you can, and like being a resource to them to like have that sort of dialogue, I thought was like really big, and like at least that's the most positive thing that came out of that experience for me.
Do you all feel like being athletes, you're able to use your platform that you have to like speak up on those issues, or do you kind of feel like you have to stay in your role as being an athlete and not really being concerned with those issues that don't concern your sport?
In this situation, I definitely feel like we're kind of expected to stay in our lane, especially when it is in the venue of a athletic event.
I feel like a lot of times with athletics, it's kind of like we don't deal with race. We just deal with it's just sports. That's it. We don't deal with whatever mental health issues, personal issues, social issues. We don't deal with any of that because that's not what affects you being athletes. Mm-hmm. So like a lot of times I feel like, I don't know, in professional sports, like you see a lot of times their platform, they're able to speak up and speak out against things. But as college athletes, like we're kind of under this contract where it's just athletics. Like we're here to play whatever sport, and that's it. Like we're not here to make a difference.
They're so passive about it. The only way they will understand is if you be outspoken and use your platform. Like, not to be, I just like stirring it up. I know like when people are passive, I'm gonna make sure like you know that you're passive, and I'm gonna be direct about it, and I'm gonna be outspoken about it. I'm not gonna change for no one. I don't care if I feel some type of way. I'm gonna let you know. So if you're passive about it, you're gonna feel some type of way. You're gonna feel offended by how I'm speaking to you about a situation. But that's the only way we're gonna get people to understand that it means something to me or to you, and that's the only way it's gonna, like I said, step in the right direction for change. So.
I mean, I have my own opinion on like kneeling for the anthem, but I don't feel like it's necessarily more important than the fact that as athletes, there kind of is this assumption that we aren't necessarily as opinionated as someone else, or maybe as intelligent as someone else, and therefore our stance on certain issues are less credible than someone else who isn't an athlete. And I feel like that association between being an athlete and not having a mind of your own, or not having enough intellect on your own, is a barrier that we need to break down. Because we are put in a box, and the only way we can make our position in this box be known is if we are outspoken about it. So I feel like as athletes that we need to use our position to speak out on these certain issues, because there's no one else who can relate to our various situations.
I think I pride myself in not letting what someone thinks or says about you affect you at all. So in terms of mental health with all these issues, instead of them build up we're the victim, oh my goodness, everyone thinks this about me, or what am I gonna do? But instead, I kind of see that as we have all these things we need to do every day as athletes, and being minorities, and it's hard, but that's life. And when people leave college, they're gonna have to have a job where they're working all a huge block of the day, and then have other stuff to do. So they're not gonna know how to deal with all these time management type things. So for me, I'm blessed to be able to play basketball. I like what I'm doing, but I'd rather have that than be naive to what it's like to have a struggle. People are just doing dumb stuff all day, doing, I don't even know what we do. But I think instead of seeing ourselves as a victim, we can take this as I'm learning this lesson, I'm gonna use this and get better from it. So
I definitely agree with that. It's a difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy, you want somebody to feel sorry for. We don't want nobody to feel sorry for us for what we're going through, because we've been through the struggle and it made it who we are today. Empathy is different. It's understanding that there's a gap and we need to fix that gap. Understanding someone else's background or experience, or racial identity, doesn't mean you have to feel sorry for them. You can understand it and be an alliance to them, and help build, like I said before, build a community. So I definitely agree with Jake. We're not trying to be the victim at all, because that just ain't me. I ain't trying to be no victim. I just want people to understand that there is a disparity, there is a gap, and all we're trying to do is bridge it. It's a good way to end it. This is something we are going to be very direct about, and these are stuff that happens on this campus, so they're going to have no choice but to understand and hear our voices. I thank y'all for coming, definitely. Appreciate your time. And that's a wrap.